Hey everyone, I'm Darian P. Mack with the Leaderboard, and we recently got the opportunity to check out the newest entry in the Far Cry series, Far Cry 5. Here are our first impressions and some highlights. Before we kick things off though, be sure to subscribe and then hit that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Regions. A Far Cry game wouldn't be a Far Cry game without a giant open world to run around in, causing all kinds of mayhem. Far Cry 5 is looking to have one of the most interesting maps yet in the series, since this is the first time the series is taking place in the United States. While it is a fictional city, Hope County, Montana looks gorgeous and feels lived in. Granted, it is lived in by a bunch of psychotic cult members, but at least, it looks pretty. While most of the Far Cry games let you explore the map however you see fit, but keep more of a linear story, Far Cry 5 is the first in the series to let you progress through the story however you see fit. There are 3 main regions within Hope County, which are ran by the leaders of the Seed family, John, Jacob, and Faith. The main objective in Far Cry 5 is to seize control of these regions by taking out outposts, completing quests, and other side tasks while building up the attention of the region leader. The ability to unlock the world however you see fit is exciting and a welcome addition to the series. It makes sense for an open world game to feel, well, open, and to not constrain players on how they want to approach their own objectives. Even with our short playtime with Far Cry 5, each region felt more challenging as we completed more objectives, so there's no guessing how crazy this game is going to get. Resistance points. So how exactly do you make the members of the Seed family mad? That's accomplished primarily by earning resistance points. This point system is the primary way of unlocking more areas of each region while pissing off John, Jacob, and Faith, the sibling trio. You can gain resistance points in a variety of ways, be it by liberating the cult's hostages, taking down outposts, completing various tasks around Hope County, and other truly exciting events. However, racking up a bunch of resistance points won't go unnoticed by the region leader. As you gain more points, the region leader will get upset and send out some of their best troops to hunt you down. This makes each region more difficult and engaging as you go through the process. I will say that the game's difficulty nearly never gets stale, but progresses with you as you get better at the game. So as things become more difficult, the challenges become more intricate, but not like overwhelming. I would say the big push of this game is not so much in Far Cry 4 or Far Cry Primal even, where you had your set objectives, you tried to take down enemies in pretty sort of standard approaches and things of that nature. This game, because of the open story progression, really forces you to pay attention to how to push through a particular region, right? Like you could start taking down one region and then fall back and take down another region, or you could focus your attention on one Seed family, build up your resistance points, and then when things get a little overwhelming, you can go and challenge, Faith in her territory in order to recuperate and things of that nature, or build up other support systems. Resistance doesn't serve just to make the Seed family mad, but it's also necessary in order to unlock more of the story itself. As more of the story is unlocked, that's when the Seed family will end up sending out their top goons after you. The quests and objectives themselves are truly exhilarating, and they come in true Far Cry fashion, right? In our playtime and with the game, we did quests ranging from defending outposts to stealing a senator's Jeep that is fully decked out with a turret on top. That Jeep was crazy. And we're sure that's a popular style in Montana. I haven't visited there personally, but if everyone in Montana drives around with one of those turns on their truck, then that seems like a really fun place to be. Or dangerous, depends on how you feel about it. And you can even see from this footage that the quest involving the senator's Jeep plays out pretty interestingly. As we hop into the Jeep, the enemy camp immediately gives chase. We had to abandon our buddy Eric. I tried to save Eric. Like, there were several points where I was just like, Eric, get back in the Jeep, but he would not follow my commands, because, whatever. So we left Eric behind. I immediately hop into the turret and take down some of the guys on ATVs. It doesn't hurt that the ammo here is infinite for some reason. I'm not gonna worry about why it's infinite. It just worked for the game and allowed me to take down anyone at my own pace. And wait a second, is that Eric in the background? And here you can see me casually taking down a blockade that these cult members put a whole lot of work into. And then you see Herc and I seem to be in and there's a helicopter coming after us, and now it's gone, just like that. And after all that, we make it back to Herc's homestead, and Eric finally makes it back with us alive and in tow. So it's, it was kind of an amazing sort of experience. And sure, the core gameplay is mind-blowing, and shooting everything up is still prominent as ever. Like, the core mechanics of the game haven't changed, but even with the handful of quests we did in our playthrough, there was a sense of added weight to each quest. We felt like we were actually making a difference with the prisoners we saved from the camp, their emotions, and I think the cultish approach that the creators of Far Cry took with this particular game gives it a much more grounded and relatable feel, that even if you've played like Far Cry Primal, while that game was great and it was engaging in a lot of ways, it's still, there was a level of distance. With this, there's a level, I feel like, of real stakes at play. For hire members in co-op, it might seem a bit intimidating to take on all Hope County by yourself. Fortunately, there's the Resistance and all the guns for hire in Far Cry 5. While having some non-important NPCs fighting with you isn't new to the series, Far Cry 5 is the first in the series to also have fully developed characters with their own backstories. They're ready to kick butt and take some names. You have Nick Ray, who is an ace pilot, Jess Black, who can track down and hunt down any type of enemy, PERK Drummond Jr., who will blow up just about anything for you. You got Adelaide Drummond, who has the deadliest helicopter in all of Hope County. Sharky Beauchamp, who loves fire a little too much. You've got Grace Armstrong, who is an army vet with one of the fastest triggers in town. And of course, Boomer, who is a very, very good boy. The best boy, in fact. It is scientifically proven that any game that gives you a dog companion is an instant Game of the Year contender. I might not have any authority to make that call, but I'm gonna claim it anyway. While it's cool to have a wide array of allies at your side, an even cooler addition to Far Cry 5 is how the game tackles co-op. While other Far Cry games have had co-op before, it's always been fairly limited. However, in Far Cry 5, it's possible to play the entire game with a friend. The whole game, and at any point within the game you choose. If a Far Cry game wasn't fun enough, it's now possible to cause all kinds of mayhem within Hope County with your best friend by your side. And one of the coolest things that I think the always on buddy or co-op pal in this game allows is the ability to be revived at any point. If your partner can get to you in time, they can have the chance to revive you and keep you in the fight. And that just felt really cool, and it felt like the NPCs actually mattered, I think, more than in any other sort of Far Cry game up to this point. Aside from the owl in Primal, that owl was bad. That owl was nobody's business. Sorry. There's something exciting about having the ability to play the entire game with a friend, and be it riding ATVs together or strategically taking down one of Seed's headquarters. It was a blast to experience, and the kind of banter that you can have with that person and pointing out some things that don't make sense is also fun. Not only that, but the co-op itself works seamlessly, and after we tried it out in person, it's crazy to think that there was a time where a Far Cry game just didn't have this deep level of co-op before. Intel system. One of the more iconic features in the Far Cry series has always been finding towers within the map to unlock more information throughout the game. Whether you were a fan or a hater of the system, it's now completely gone in Far Cry 5. During our time of playing the game, it seems it's for the better. It's never bad to break away from tradition, and a new system in place for Far Cry 5 seems to be an improvement. Rather than just taking down towers, the world of Hope County is unlocked via the world itself. Basically, if you talk to NPCs in Hope County, they might tell you about a gun stash they saw, and then it will be marked on your map. Sometimes it can be as simple as seeing a caution sign about bears, and lo and behold, some bears will pop out on your map. And so those sorts of self-discovery things are really, really cool. While some diehards of the series may miss the towers, and granted, I always found the towers to be challenging in Far Cry 4, climbing up and figuring it out, because I like puzzles sometimes. It feels great to unlock the world in a much more natural and organic way, right? It gives more life to Hope County and gives players unique ways to discover areas of the map. For instance, you can see here during our time playing some co-op, we stumbled upon a gas station. When we first noticed it, we didn't think too much of it. However, as we walked up, there was a wanted sign posted outside the station of my character. It's those little details that give the game true depth and make it feel even more real. Also, while roaming around the PERK homestead, you can see right here that we discovered an arcade cabinet. While we can't get into too much detail about what this cabinet can do in game, they will end up being extremely beneficial in the final release of the game. So that's an Easter egg. Come Come back for more videos on the leaderboard and we'll tell you all about what that arcade cabinet can actually do. Vehicles. Sure, other Far Cry games had huge and large cargo trucks that you could drive around in, some big semis, but there's nothing like taking a giant American semi truck and taking down buildings with it. And if a big rig isn't for you, then maybe a fast and slick muscle car will be more of your style. Either way, the vehicles are a blast to drive around in Hope County, and again, it adds that level of realism and weight to the world. But what if you want to take your combat to the sky? Well, luckily for you, Far Cry 5 has you covered. Another exciting addition to the series are full-fledged helicopters and planes. Sure, Far Cry 4 has a gyrocopter, and that was a lot of fun to not die in, but it's nothing compared to what Far Cry 5 has. All of the aircraft are pilotable, and it's an absolute wonder to fly up for the first time. And we even did a little bit of that at co-op. Going up for the first time is amazing, but you can really take in all of Hope County. You can see all that it has to offer, and you know you're not limited where you can go. You can literally go anywhere in this world at any time when you get a helicopter, and there are really convenient ways to get helicopters in-game as well. There is literally no denying that the vehicle selection alone has us super excited for Far Cry 5. One of the most exciting objectives that we did in our playthrough had us take down some of Jacob's helicopters. You can be a pro like me, right? And 100% intentionally, just out of pure skill, jump out of your own helicopter like I do right here. You know, these are advanced Far Cry tactics. Trust me, believe me, they will save your life. Maybe not in this version of the game, but in future versions, I promise. Sadly, you know, this version of the game doesn't really recognize these skills, and it fortunately lets you spawn back right where you're supposed to be. But if you're worried you might not be able to pull all these kinds of tricks, try throwing your Molotov down on the ground, right? That Molotov cocktail will burn those people in front of you. Again, these are some advanced tactics that you should try. I'm kidding. These are literally I just fell out of playing because I was terrible. But there's some really other cool things that you can do with the helicopter. Like, one of the things we were trying to do is take down the enemy from the ground. So my partner and I were shooting heavy weapons and bazookas into the sky, and that was effective at killing one helicopter, but it just wasn't great. And so in taking to the sky, we were able to get into a helicopter that didn't have any onboard weapons. But if you move to the back seat, you can use your heavy weapons or other conventional arms that you have on yourself, on your person. And so that really paid off in the sky. And it just goes to show you some of the flexibility that's in the game. Like, we kind of just improvised that strategy and it worked. The perk system. In traditional Far Cry games, players leveled up through some type of skill tree system and experience points. However, Far Cry 5 looks to change up that formula just a bit. Rather than using a traditional skill branch, the new perk system allows you to unlock abilities. To unlock new perks, all you need to do is gain perk points, which are obtained by completing various tasks and special challenges, which range from how many kills you get with a shotgun to overall kills. There are plenty of perks to choose from, like swim faster and hold your breath, unlocking a repair torch to fix vehicles and break into safes, and the ability to become a pro harvester. There are plenty of perks to choose from, so you can make your character truly your own. While it may not be radically different from a skill tree system, it's still a welcome addition to Far Cry 5 and allows for a unique level of customization for your character. Engine and gameplay. Ubisoft Montreal hasn't changed up the formula too much on the technical end. Why fix what isn't broken? The backbone of Far Cry 5 is the trusty Dunia engine, which is a modified version of the Cry engine made by Crytek. The engine renders Hope County beautifully and really shows off what Far Cry can look like at its full potential in this generation of video game consoles. If you've played Far Cry 4 or Far Cry Primal, the games look a little bit different. The branches and trees feel more fuller, the greens feel greener. There's just a lot of aesthetic small differences that add up and culminate into something truly amazing. The development team chose Montana as the location for Far Cry 5 because the state lies on the frontier of the United States. They even took a trip to Montana for a few weeks to make their Hope County feel as accurate as possible. There's no denying that Hope County feels like its own world while still feeling grounded, one that could exist in the real world. Minus some of the crazy cultists and explosions, hopefully. You know, when playing this game, it just felt real. The cars, the environment, the hills, the stores, the mountains, like a lot of it just added a level of crispness and a level of immersion that I think some Far Cry games have lacked in the past. Like, you really do relate to the environment you're in. The combat system itself feels very satisfying, and you can feel each bullet have impact when it's shot. Another really neat addition is the ability to use any type of gun while you're in a passenger seat of a vehicle. Before, it was only possible to use smaller sidearms like pistols and SMGs, but it's now possible to use assault rifles from the passenger seat. It's crazy. I happen to use some really big guns from the passenger seat and found that experience quite satisfying. And if you're a fan of the Far Cry series for its combat mechanics, then you will not be disappointed with Far Cry 5. Everything feels fine-tuned and crafted to show off how much the series has grown while sticking close to its core values. Our time with Far Cry 5 was an absolute blast. I mean, it really made a lot of smart, intricate changes. I mean, this game is not a radical departure from Far Cry 4 or Far Cry Primal, but they made so many smart decisions that really culminates into a unique and different experience. Not only are you excited to explore the world of Hope County, you have a reason to explore the world, you have a reason to talk to people, you have a reason to engage in these stories. A lot of the missions and objectives, for the ones that we played anyway, didn't feel pointless. Like, everything served this ultimate goal of advancing the story forward, and I think the resistance system and the perk system, it just adds to this really, really great experience. So, I mean, in conclusion, there's no denying that Hope County is looking to be one of, if not the most interesting world to explore in the Far Cry series. If you played a couple Far Cries and you haven't been caught up on the series in a while, this is a really good game to also reintroduce yourself with the Far Cry formula. All right, what are you looking forward to doing Far Cry 5 the most, and will this be your first Far Cry game? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad so you'll be notified whenever we upload. And if you like getting more out of your games, subscribe to Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.